I want to also advise you as much as possible to find a way to put them aside. Those things that always distract us, most times are things we can always come back to. So no matter how urgent it might seem, please let us find a way to set them aside, right? Okay. So as much as possible to find a way to put them aside. So now we are live on YouTube, and we'll start recording also now. Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Skillup Africa Quad 6 onboarding session. I'm really very delighted to have you all here. And, you know, many of us, for example, you will begin to see the practical of what we discussed yesterday. You see that we now have some people came early, some people didn't even come at all, some people probably will join us later. And that is how life is generally, right? Remember that I told you that Skillup Africa DSEP, it's not just a training school. We don't just put you and start teaching you tech. No, we do way more than that. What we try to do is to ensure that you go through this life-changing process end to end, so that at the end of it, even if it is only these online sessions you joined, you would see tremendous changes in your life. And all we need from you, like I said, is just you deciding to participate, that's all. So I'll make an analogy. I know many of us here went to the university, went to Polytechnic, went to, I mean, we went to a higher learning. And for those of us that have not gone, we have plans to go, most likely. As we go into these institutions, 4, 5, and even 5, you know, in these institutions, and you go and you learn. Well, let's hope that we learn, because sometimes most of us don't even learn enough. That is 4 years of our life being committed to a venture that at the end of it, you're not even sure what the outcome could be. I saw something on Instagram recently and I was laughing. It was like when I was a kid, I wanted to be a pilot. Then when I was an adult, I wanted to be an engineer. But now what I'm doing is, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. But that is the reality of the life that we have found ourselves in today. Our institutions do not prepare us for the kind of jobs of the future. I studied microbiology. The first time I started losing hope in microbiology was when I was going for IT. I searched for a place for IT for 3 months. When they told us in school that, they're doing microbiology, you know, there are a lot of use cases for microbiology. You could go to this industry, that industry, this industry, that industry. And in my mind, I was like, oh, wow, we have a lot of places where they need us. I don't know if any of you have been in that shoe before. If you have been in that shoe before, you can drop in the comments, right? When you are now feeling that, we are more important than these other people, you know. At some point, they also go ahead to tell us that, you know, your school is better than some other schools. When you go for interview, they will put people from this school here, and people from this other school here, then they will pick people from this school and tell the rest to go home. How many of you had those kind of stories, right? They used to tell us all those kind of stories, and we were feeling like, this is it. You know, I can see some people say yes, so yes, so. So we are in the same shoe. But I went for IT, went to the first company, I saw that there was no priority for anybody. That was first, number one shock. Went to second company, no priority for anyone. Went to third company, and in all these places, I was doing exams. I was passing the exams, but they were not taking me. That was the first time reality really set in for me. I now sat back and now looked at it and said that, hey, Omo, it's like I'm wasting my life. Eventually, after 3 months, with a lot of connection, I eventually got a place for placement. And when I got there, I met the biggest disappointment of my life. You know, as a microbiologist, I was thinking we'll do serious, strong things. When we got there, they just put me in what do you call it? They just put me in the floor like every other casual staff. And I was just on the floor table like every other casual staff. And I was working like a casual staff. I walked to their microbiology department. I saw that they have one microbiologist. This company is a company that, if I mention the name, all of you know. And that is their only production plant in Nigeria. And they supply the whole nation. And they have only one microbiologist. So when I looked at it, I now sat down and I said, okay, if this company, as big as it is, needs only one microbiologist, and the microbiologist is even a senior person. My class alone, we are about 80 something, and that's just my school. Do you know the number of schools we have? What am I trying to say? The reality is that the opportunities on ground are not enough. So it seems like that thing that we went to spend 4-5 years of our life for, many of us risk our life. You travel to an unknown place, you live there, you do all sorts of things. To now come to that rude shock that might not amount to much. I left the university about 11 years ago. Until this moment, I have not used my certificate for one thing. I don't even know where it is currently. And I had a good grade, by the way. At some point, I was the best student in my, don't let me go into that. But I had good grades. So it's not a function of not even having good grades. But I've not used my certificate for once. So that gives you insight into the reality of the life that we are in at the moment. So, and if you want to be truthful with yourself, if you look out there, you will see that the opportunities are not there as they should. Now, if you now look, so how did I get into tech? Curiosity led me into tech. While back in school, I was so curious about just discovering new things. So I just, I was so curious. It was just that curiosity. I never thought of making money from tech. I never thought of doing tech as a career or thereabout. I was just curious. And that curiosity got me into it. And just luckily for me, I got a gift of a laptop. And I made up my mind that, so all the other people I knew that had laptops, they were using their laptops to watch movies. But what I used to say then, I didn't know much about tech. I was 23 years old before I really started using the computer. This will make you really understand that for you, if you think you are older or you are younger, there's a space for you. I was 23 years old when I had my first real interaction with the computer. These small ones we used to have before was go to the cyber cafe or just, just basic things. So I made up my mind and said, this same computer, we used to watch it in movies. They use it to send rockets to space. They use it to blow up areas, to fight war and all those things. All these movies we watch and you see them, they're just pressing hand like this. And somebody, although later I will now find out that all of it is a lie. When somebody will just sit down and be doing, those kind of things. So I used to think that if these people could be using computers for things like this, why should I sit down and be watching movies on my computer? That was where it started. I just set my mind and said, no, I will not put any movie on my computer. Since that time till now, I have never put a movie on any computer I own. I just made it that no, I can't be using my computer to watch movie. This thing has got more ability than that. I don't know what it will be used for, but I just made up my mind, right? So I found some new knowledge. I started learning. I learned almost everything. I mean, later you get to know more about me. I learned about graphic design. I learned about web development. I learned about mobile apps development. I learned core programming. I learned tons and tons and tons of things in the course of that time, right? And you too can do that. Now, going through all of this experience shaped me and prepared me. Remember I said I went for, so after coming back from IT, it was clear to me that microbiology was not the way. I'm a very curious person, and I really like to search and do things. And I saw that my work as a microbiologist would mainly just be sitting in a lab, and I couldn't do that. So I looked around, what else could I do? And the next thing for me was tech, because that was what I knew a bit of. So the next decision was, okay, let us try tech. It wasn't even from a place of money. So I started. Initially, I would beg people to do websites. I would go and say, I can do your website. Just let me do it. Like, I'm not asking for money. Just the joy of seeing somebody's website and knowing that I built it was all that was my push. And I moved on and on. Let me just summarize the whole story. You might hear the full version if you come on site. You know, one of the soft skill time we can talk about the food, because there's a lot of things to learn in there. Now, I went through all those processes until I got to a point where I now consult for international organizations. I now have a company that have more than 50 staff who are all working and earning a living from that singular idea that started initially. That singular idea that started without the thinking of making money. Now, I know many of you are here today because you heard that they make money in tech, or because you know somebody that makes money in tech, or because you have seen someone who makes money in tech, and that is your motivation. It's not bad, but I need to introduce you to something deeper, because I will tell you categorically. I told you that in my experience, I have trained directly at least about 20,000 people in the last decade. And I can tell you categorically, and a lot of people don't always agree with me until they fall victim, that if all your drive is just, they make money in this thing, let me also make money there, you will be disappointed. You will be highly disappointed. But you need, is there a space for everybody in tech? I think yes. I clearly think that there is a space for every single person in tech. And I will tell you why. So the way I see the evolution of technology is the way I saw the evolutions of computers. Before the advent of computers in the 90s, every industry worked, and they worked well. Agriculture, teaching, medicine, every industry worked, and they worked well. What changed was that the coming in of computer made everything better. So with the computer, so which industry or which office will you get into now and you won't see a computer? Just mention it. There is none. So technology itself is not a field like that. It's an advancement that comes to every field. Do you understand it now? So it's not like you say you want to go into medicine or you want to go into law. I mean, you can't work everywhere as a lawyer. You will still be a lawyer. Do you understand? Do you get the point? But having solid knowledge of technology can open doors for you everywhere. And you need to be intentional and truthful to yourself in making that decision initially. Many of us are not truthful. I have seen in this journey of Skillup Africa, after some months, some people will come and say, sir, I'm not doing this thing again. I want to go home. Because they now eventually see that, this thing is not for me. We do some consultation and advisory for students before we start a session. there was a particular session. Back then, we used to do front end and we used to do back end separately. So there was a particular lady who came. She just kept insisting she wants to do back end. And I will tell her, from what you have told me, from my observation, I think you are more of a front end person than a back end person. She said, no, back end. Our trainers also had a session with them. The trainer also advised the same thing, saying, I think that you are more of a front end person. She just said back end. It was later I found out that the friend of ours that introduced her to Skillup to come is a back-end developer. And that friend is working with a foreign company, and that friend is making a lot of money. So in her mind, she wants to be like her friend. And all she can do is to just follow exactly the friend's path, forgetting that everybody have their own different paths and that everybody are different in their own ways. Do you understand? Everybody have their own unique and different paths. And everybody have their own ways. Sorry. Everybody have their own unique different paths. And what we want to help you to do today, and if this is all you can get from this program, it is more than enough. It is to help you get your parts. The best we can help anybody do is to help you get your parts. Do you understand? That is the best we can do for anyone. The best we can do for you is to help you get your parts. Because if you get your parts, which is the part for you as a person, no matter how difficult the journey is, no matter how everything turns, you will always scale through. You will always come out better. For me as a person, I started my journey as a graphic designer because that was the only thing that was open to me. Did I know graphic design? Yes, I knew it very well. As a matter of fact, I have several people who I taught graphic design who are fantastic graphic designers today, working with international and local companies and doing well. But the question is, am I really a graphic designer? No, I am not. Do I know it? Yes. But am I a graphic designer? No, I am not. Do you understand? And I understood that reality and I decided to work with it. I know mobile apps development and I built a couple of apps. Am I a mobile app developer? Yes, I know it very well. Have I taught people mobile development? Yes. But do I want to spend my life or career building mobile apps? No. But for someone like me, there was no direction. There was nothing like Skillup. It was just a glass kind of thing. Do you understand? Anywhere belly face. So anything I saw, I just got into. But this is 2023. You shouldn't be making that kind of mistake again. The same mistake I made in 2011, you shouldn't be making those kind of mistakes again now. Some people have come to me and say, I hear no in vogue. So you might think that graphic design is not in vogue, but graphic design will forever remain viable. You just need to know more than average. That's it. I know someone today who we started a career together. We actually, interestingly, we actually did IT together in the same company. We did IT together in the same company. We faced that reality together. He did biochemistry. He's one of our mentors at Skillup Africa. He's in the UK now. I think that he would also come and share with us at some point in the training. He started with graphic design. All these many years till now, he still does graphic design. He did graphic design for Jumia, for MTN, for some of the biggest brands in Nigeria before he moved to the UK. And currently now he's working with some of the biggest brands in the UK. And my people, he still does graphic design till today. I don't think this guy will charge less than $500 to $1,000 for a logo. You know how much that is, right? So don't let what people say or then about determine the direction that you go to. Because if you are building your career or your life on a lie, it cannot be sustained. When I talk to people, there are some of you here that I've also talked to one-on-one. It was hard to listen to. I'm telling you again now, don't lay your life on the foundation of lies. Or the foundation of, oh, this is what I like. The world has moved past you doing what you like. There's a woman I was consulting for. I was consulting for the husband. So the husband now said, will you talk to my wife too? So I was talking to the wife, and the wife said, I want to start a shop. I want to be selling things. And I said, okay, what do you want to sell? Said, I love to sell baby things. Said, okay. So where do you want to sell it? Said, I don't like to stress myself, so I'll just sell it in our area here. Those two things she said, those are the biggest recipe for failure. Number one, you should know that in life, what you love is not enough for you to build a career on. Note this very clearly. What you love is not enough for you to build career on. What you love could just be something you need to be doing as a hobby on the side. So it's not necessary. So because you love design does not mean you should really build a career on design. As we go on in this training, we are going to do a session where we'll talk about a concept called Ikigai. And that would help you. I think we'll do this on Friday. We'll talk about a concept called Ikigai. It will really help you to really understand better. So for some of you, what you are passionate about is just a hobby. For me, I'm passionate about music. I love music so much. Does that mean I should build a career in music? Absolutely not. You need a combination of different things to be able to decide and choose what your career path should be. Is there a room for everybody in tech? Yes. But you need to be truthful to yourself to find what your own exact room is. Do you understand? Many times we are limited in information. Many times we are limited in exposure. Many times we are limited in understanding. And we would be foolish to base our life decision of what happens to you in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years on this your own narrow perspective or understanding. It would be foolish of us to do that. What we need to really do is do our best to expand our scope and knowledge and understanding so that we would be able to make the right decisions. The problem with many of us is that we don't see our life beyond a year. Some of us even try, maybe 5 years. But many of us don't dare to think 20 years. Many of us don't dare to think 40 years or 50 years. That's the problem with a lot of young people. So somebody came to Skillup back then, I think it was called 2, and he said he wants to be a blockchain developer or a cryptocurrency. That was when cryptocurrency was bubbling and everything all around. I sat him down and said, guy, do you really understand the future and direction of cryptocurrency? Do you really understand how these things work? He just kept insisting. And all we can do is advice. Today, he's not a blockchain developer, and he's not a very good front-end developer also. Because rather than him to focus on growing that front-end, he wasn't. He was distracted about blockchain. Now that Bitcoin is regularizing and it's not like then again, his interest has went down. So now he's just floating. So he's also a Skillup graduate. So I mean, we won't tell you lies here. So I won't tell you that because you are now have joined Skillup, your life will just up automatically. It won't happen like that. You need to also make the right decisions to get there. Do you get the point? But we will advise you. We will open you to everything you need. You just need to accept it to be able to take it. Do you understand? So you need to, somebody talked about unlearning to relearn yesterday, and that is very real. Whatever sentiments or things you have had in your mind, this is the point where you need to put it down and open your mind to new knowledge. Open your mind to new realities. Open your mind to new possibilities. Sit down and say, in the next 10 years, what will I be doing? Where will I be? How do I plan to have grown? Where do I want my life to be? Maybe many of you don't know that you won't be this energetic all your life. So let me give you a personal experience of myself, which is really annoying to me at the moment. So I'm in my late 30s, right? But many years ago, I was the kind of guy that would sit down and work 15 hours on the computer. For real. I will sit down 15 hours on the computer. I can see someone on this call who have lived with me before, and he can actually attest to that. There was a time I would sit down and I would work 15 hours in a day on my computer, straight up. But my people, nowadays, by the time, so before, working overnight, night till morning was a workable. It's not something I even think about. But my people, now, once it is past 12, and let's say I struggle to 1 a.m., that is my last card though. I'm going off. It's really difficult for me now to sit at a stretch and do 4 hours on my computer. In fact, there are days that I don't even get to touch my computer at all. 10 years ago, the whole year, there is no day I will not do at least 5 hours on my computer, including Sundays. There is not the same again. So in planning for your future, you need to also plan that into your reality. You are going to have a home. You are going to build a career. You are going to get older. What trajectory do you want to go to that will still keep a room for you? We are talking about building careers now, not us. That hustle mentality has really imbibed many of us. And you're just looking for hustle, the next hustle. What do I do? Let me just get quick cash. That is not how to build wealth. That is not how to build wealth. And that is not how to build financial freedom. Yes, you can do it with your skills, but you need to understand that you will get to a point where your skills cannot continue to sustain you. When you now need to rely on some other things, but you need to look at it and say, what direction do I want to take? How do I want to go about this? We'll be teaching, you will learn goal setting, you will learn a lot of things on this call that will help you recalibrate your life, that will help you rethink the way you do things, that will generally make you a better person. And again, I want to just advise you to just keep coming, right? So this is what we do first, before we even start teaching you any coding or anything at all. This is what we do first, to prepare your mind and prepare the ground. Some of you are saying, this is what I want to learn, or nothing else. This is what I want to learn. This is what I want to learn. Why? Is it right for you? Do you have the right attitude, right instrument, right mindset for this particular thing that you have insisted you want to do? You need to be truthful to yourself in this regard and say, no. At some point in my life, I sat down and I said, okay, I know how to code, but programming is not my thing. I prefer to build products. I prefer to solve problems. I prefer to get an idea and I turn it into a product. So I shifted from all that and sat down on that side doing just that. And I'm giving you the opportunity to do things right from the start so that you don't make the kind of mistakes that we made. You saw some people on the call yesterday who came to Skillup just about 2 years or less than 3 years ago, and they're already team leads. Do you know why they got there fast? Because they had guidance, they had clarity. They didn't waste any time. They knew where they were going to, and they just went for it. So what that does for them is that it makes them scale processes faster. That's what that does for them. It makes them scale steps faster. And you need to begin to think in this direction also. There is a global space for you where you need to get into, dominate, and excel. You need to get into, dominate, and excel. So I need you to make a decision today. Number one, not to lie to yourself. Number two, to leave every unjustifiable sentiment aside. Number three, to think about the long term. You won't always remain a young boy that is dependent on your parents. At some point, you have your own family who will fully depend on you. At some point, you grow too old to even be doing many things you can do today. What is your plan to scale all of that? What is your plan to go through all those phases? As a lady, at some point, you will have kids, and the kids will take most of your time and may even be a big distraction. So you need to be intentional about decisions you make about your life because they can make or mar you. You need to shut off every other noise you are hearing in your voice, in your ears, from parents, from friends, from neighbors, and sit down and be truthful to yourself. And I'll tell you why. I'm not telling you to be disobedient to your parent, but I'm saying that sometimes they are seen from a lens that is narrow. Sometimes they are not also seeing the real reality of where you are going to. And they might not be able to advise you rightly. I'll give you 2 examples. So there was somebody that spoke with you yesterday. I won't mention his name. His parents immediately finished school. Their plan for him was to go ahead and do masters in what he studied so that he can continue. Is it a good plan? Yes. Is it the best for him? No. He knew that what he studied wasn't the best for him, and he wanted something else. He wanted to get into tech, even though he knew nothing about tech. I interviewed him and I saw that this guy really has passion for this, and he has understanding, and he has traits that will help him do well. But the father insisted. He now asked me to please help him talk to the father. I now spoke to the father on phone. The father said, no, this, that. We now begged the father. I said, sir, you know it is his life. I said, can you just give him 2 years? If he wastes that 2 years, then we would apologize. Then you can now do whatever you want him to do. We just begged him, say, just give him 2 years. So the father agreed. The guy came to Skillup, learned in the first 6 months, got a job immediately after. A year after that, that's 1.5 years after, he got a second job with GTB as a developer. When the father saw that, the father at some point called me and he was thanking me. He was saying, thank you very much. I really appreciate. In fact, the prayers were not small. Imagine if we have allowed what the father said initially to happen. The boy will have done what they wanted, they will have not found fulfillment in his life. Now, he's having the best of his life because he's doing what is right for him, and he's growing his career and he's doing well. So the job that the father is not talking masters again now. He has even forgotten about it. So sometimes they're not being disobedient. It's just that they might not see from the right lens. Same thing was for me, but I will not even share my own story. I will share another person that also came to Skillup Africa. This is a lady that got admitted into, I think, Ahmadu Bello University. She was in her 100 level, first semester. She just finished first semester when she saw me to Skillup Africa. This lady was, I think, 17 or 18 years old. And she just decided and told her parents that she's not going to school again. She will leave school and come to Skillup Africa. This one was even harder. So the parents said no. So she brought them. They drove to my office and they came. Father, mother, and I. And when she told me, I know what it takes to get admission into university. Even me, my first advice to her was that, are you sure about this? Or do you want to maybe be learning on the side? She said no. And I saw the determination. I saw she went to like a 2 weeks. She wanted to do product design. She went to like 2 weeks training. I saw what she did after the 2 weeks. I was like, no, this girl will do well. So after that, the father called me aside and he said, please, this is my only daughter, this is my young daughter, blah, 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 blah. I said, sir, don't worry, she's in good hands and she will do well. She came, she did the training for 6 months. Interestingly, she was the best in the class. She didn't even get job immediately. So that you don't think that everybody that get job immediately. She didn't get job immediately. She got it after some months. But today, she's a team lead at a startup. I don't think she's 20 yet. But she's a big girl. Like when I saw her picture the last time, I was like, this girl has turned to, she's now looking so mature. So, in fact, next time I get to talk to her, I will tell her that, do you regret? I know the answer already. That do you regret leaving that school or not? She will have been in her maybe 3rd year in that school. Do you understand? But now she's so well grounded and experienced because of the path she took. And the parents are also grateful for that decision. So just know that once you are an adult, really you should be able to take decisions for yourself. However, in taking decisions for yourself, you need not deceive yourself. If you are still at the stage where you are deceiving yourself, you are lying to yourself, or you have some fantasies, this is what my friend do, this is what my friend said, and that's what you want to base your life on, you might be ruining yourself. And I'm not saying don't go to the university or drop out of university if you are currently there. No, that might not be, at least I finished school. I didn't come back from IT and say I'm not going to school again. So that's not what I'm preaching here, please. But I'm saying that you need to sit down and make the right decisions for yourself. Because that is where everything starts. If the foundation is destroyed, there is nothing anybody can do. So you need to get your foundation right. Leave the Ozu